Going on, Ricardo? How you doing?
Good, good. Muy buenos días.
Buenos dias. How's your day going?
It's Friday. Any day above ground is a good day. So it just keeps getting better and better.
You're originally born in Mexico and you moved here when you were 13. So did you start riding in Mexico or was that when you moved to the US?
No, I used to play baseball, believe it or not. And I made my first $20 because I hit a grand slam during the Pee Wee All-Star League. We lost the game. Hint, hint, one of the reasons why I enjoy riding bikes. The team, nothing wrong with team sports, but I prefer the one-man band because if there's ever a mistake, I point to myself that I didn't really prepare for it. But my parents brought me to Las Vegas for the All-American Dream, and we moved into this trailer park where there were some kids riding BMX bikes. Little did we think we were riding BMX bikes because all we were doing is just jumping out of a hole. And not that I claimed that I speak any good English, but sign language of all, because I didn't speak any English back then. I was like, what are you guys doing? They're like, oh, we ride BMX bikes and we do like the coolest trick ever. And the coolest trick ever is to see you can jump the farthest. So it wasn't BMXing. And it turns out Nella's BMX track, which is the oldest BMX track in the whole state of Nevada, like 2 miles away from us, from this trailer park. So whatever reason, they said that there was going to be this national race that people come from all over the world to race here. Never made it. And I've been very blessed that my parents supported me any crazy wild adventure I ever took in. And we were coming back because all we could afford back then was a cheap buffet. I was like, hey, Mom, they're telling me there's like this BMX track. I didn't quite understand what they said. Can we go and check it out? And sure enough, they took me there and I was like a little kid in the candy store. I saw the fluorescent uniforms, the gate that says ride ready, watch the light, drops within a split second, 8 people go around the track. And before we got to the checker line 1, I was sold. I begged my mom to buy me a bike. She said, mijito, give me 1 or 2 months and I'll buy you a bike. 2 weeks later, she bought me the worst possible bike ever. And passion became a career.
You went the dirt jumping route. You didn't pursue a pro racing career. And actually, in 2001, you won DK Dirt Circuit in Lake Paris.
Yeah.
Your parents took you down there, or how did that end up?
No. Back in the day, we used to have a nice little cool group out here that we would take a road trip to California. And I clearly remember that trip. 3 of my friends canceled. And I was like, you know what? I got the money saved. I'm just going to go by myself. So I had this little Toyota Celica that the trunk once fell off because we put too many bikes.
Oh, wow.
Migrated all the way to Paris and it paid off. And one of the reasons I was blessed enough to get sponsored by DK for multiple years.
So the DK Dirt Circus what started that relationship with DK?
Well, it's a longer story, but I'll make it brief. Yes, that contest helped me catapult it to officially being sponsored by them. But they used to have a DK warehouse here, and there used to be a skate park called Planet Plywood. So DK nights, they rented the skate park, and I would go and ride with them. So one day they asked me, hey, can I bring this guy over to the backyard and a couple of our buddies? Turns out to be Jared, one of the main guys for DK bicycles. And I can't remember if it was like he didn't want to jump a jump. And I was like, come on, man, just do it. And motivated him. And he did the jump. And the next day he goes, hey, man, I love your vibe. And clearly you're doing pretty well on the dirt circuit. So we want to offer you to come out and get a bike. And I was like, I didn't quite understood what he meant. But I literally went to the warehouse and I was like a little kid in the candy store. It goes like, pick whatever you want. So got a free bike. And then from there it built up to move up to the pro team for a year or 2.
So that was around what, 2003?
I want to say that had been 2004 because the reason why I remember this, I quit my last real job was in 2002 being a PE teacher assistant. And I got a job offer to do shows at Legoland. And back then I was doing backflips and I wasn't one of the best bike riders. And the story goes, so don't quote me to this. I don't know if you know Joe Riley. He used to ride for
Premium.
Yeah, Premium. All right. He got the job offer to do shows at Legoland, but he had long hair, piercings, and tattoos. And Legoland, and you have to remember, this is literally 20 plus years ago. The policy was no long hair, cover your tattoos, and take off your piercings. And from my understanding, Joe Riley declined, and he goes like, "Well, go with the best second option, the clean cut Ricardo," and I got the job. So I quit my job, and back then I was going to college. Then you have online college, so I told my mom I was going to quit my job and go into this wild adventure to see if this bike riding thing would pay off. And what I would make in 3 months, it was almost like a year worth of my pay for being a P teacher assistant. So I told my mom if I didn't make the same amount of money, I would hopefully go back for that job or figure something else. And knock on wood, that day has yet to come. And when I came back, I basically bought my first real estate property with that money. And I had too much free time. And there was an event called Extreme Thing that became actually an X Game qualifier that I pitched myself to be the promoter because I knew the bike riders, I can build the jumps. And super randomly, this guy retires next week and he's having an after party. So I'm dying to talk about this story because I sold myself and he goes like, I believe in you that you can make this event grow. And I did for 15 years. So I always tell people like I use my bike as a vehicle to open a lot of doors and allow me to be where I'm at today. Because out of that, TV became a thing because I was being interviewed for it. And crazy to say, I used to write for Dance Comp. I got fired on April Fool's, so it's almost the anniversary why I got fired. I did a TV show for Holly Madison, like we're dating. I got a cover a non-BMX magazine. I didn't compete that year for Extreme Thing because I got offered to do a TV show where I thought I got more coverage than the person that won that contest that year, which I think was Luke Parslow. And I got a letter saying that was misrepresenting Dance Comp. When I'm all like, wow, I thought I was helping the industry because putting new eyeballs into the sport, but Dance Comp looked at it differently. And I think it was a blessing in disguise. That's when I told myself, like, bike riding is not going to be here forever. So we need to explore other adventures. And that's when I told myself, you got to open your mouth to get fed. So I asked a producer, what about this TV? How can I get into this? And that's when they introduced me to Wilmer Valderrama and he asked me, who's my hero? And I was like, Wilmer, when I first started riding bikes, there's no one that I can relate because the language barrier. So I just paved my own wave. And that's how a reality TV show came about for MTV3.
Was that all through the Holly Madison deal? Because I remember you went on a date with her, and I was going to ask you about how that all came about.
No, so I was blessed enough that Las Vegas Magazine made me the Bachelor of the Year for Las Vegas that year, and the most intriguing person the next year for Las Vegas. And back then, PR was a big thing, and our publicists kind of linked up, and that's how the TV show came about. If we can do that show. So a lot of people made fun of me. And look, I always tell people, everybody has their own opinion because I have a lot of friends like, I got your back. I won't let them make fun of you. It's like, look, it's okay. When you're a public figure, and I was blessed enough that Viacom, which owns MTV back then, because now it got sold, I went through, I don't want to call it like a crash course, but prepare me what to come from doing reality TV. Everybody has their own opinion. And by you putting yourself in the spotlight, like it or not, it comes with the territory. I used to have a hater fan. Until this day, I want to know who it was. It was Ricardo_Laguna on Twitter. And during Extreme Thing, he made fun of a lot of people at the contest. And people came up to me. They thought it was me. Until this day, I was like, no, it wasn't me. I would love to know who it was because he would turn around and make funny jokes out of me and stir the pot. But look, it came with the territory. It opened a lot of doors. And that's when I really realized that I need to entertain something else outside of BMX to make a livelihood.
Yeah, it's cool that, like you said, you use BMX as a vehicle for other opportunities, and it's probably taught you a lot. I'm sure, just like being a rider, you said you weren't into the team sports because you wanted to be accountable for all your mistakes. So I'm sure that's translated to business.
Absolutely. I have taken a lot of L's. I started a trucking company where I needed to count in my drivers. I'd fire like 5 drivers, and I loved it because I had to wake up early in the morning to get the loads. But if the driver wasn't there in time, I lose the load. And that's kind of why I sold the company, because I was relying on a team.
And what was the last contest you competed in as a dirt jumper?
Man, I think the last one was City of North Las Vegas. The mayor of North Las Vegas made me honorary citizen in North Las Vegas, named a skate park after me. And I always been, I like to, a lot of people say I'm not the cool guy when I'm in the skate park because I still wear a helmet and my seat is too high and I have brakes, which is nothing wrong if you want to bash it or don't bash it. But I think it's one of the reasons where it allowed me to be 44 years young and still allowed me to ride my bike at the level that I enjoy. The mayor asked me if I can do a contest out of Craig Ranch Regional Park. So I did that in 2018. That was the last one. I think it was 2018. So I got second place next to Colin Joyce, and I think I'm old enough to be his dad.
Oh wow, that's wild.
So yeah, I think after that, that's when I said, I think it's time to pass the torch into somebody else and be more on the sideline guy. I don't know if you want to check out the backyard. Yeah, let me see if I can flip the camera.
Yeah, we should
around.
definitely check it out.
For the past 3 years, this was just a pile of dirt. And now we TJ Lavin donated his resi.
Oh, that's awesome.
A memorable piece of BMX memories right here. And I'm going to build a gate. So then we have a track, we have the trails. And then right here, I'm waiting for this wall to get built because believe it or not, it's going to cost over $300,000. So I'm patiently waiting because everybody's like, when are you going to build it? But I'm building a resi jumps, foam pit, and a bunch of other cool little ramp gadgets.
Do you think you'd ever throw like an invite-only event in your yard, or to be like an insurance nightmare to do that or something?
The insurance wouldn't be really a problem. The problem is I've done a lot of stuff with my mayor, my commissioner here in town. And for me to, believe it or not, even after you own this land, you can't just go to town and start building. You need a lot of permits. So I had to go to the planning commissioner. And the first meet, I just literally have to like propose where you're about to build. And I was just going as the house. And when I went to the planning commissioner, I just said my name and then declined my idea of building a house because they're like, we know who you are. You're going to put events. And not to get super like technical, it's called RE rural land. So that's one of the most difficult coded land to like build. So they declined it. And then I had her like reapply and be like, I'm not going to do contests or
we have a mutual friend, Chris Gerber.
It's going to be
public. And he's got a Ricardo Laguna tattoo.
Then after that, then I got approved. Which by the way, who was I talking? Maybe at the end of last year, I remember I was trying to track down Chris Gerber because his cell phone number doesn't work. Clearly I can't keep up with this guy. But he tattooed my logo on his foot in Portland. I think we went to the Do Tour, and I come to think about it. Has he told you the reason why he got it and what he got out of it?
No, I wanted to hear the story. He never told me.
So it was a 1-year sponsorship. He was supposed to run, me pay for the tattoo. He was going to run the stickers on his bike, and he got my Honda CRX. But he never came through, and I don't even know what happened to the Honda CRX. So that was one of the reasons why I needed to follow up, because we were at the Speedway and we were talking about cars. And I was like, I used to have a Honda CRX, and I can't track down this guy. So if you see him, ask him whatever happened to the Honda CRX, which he also called it Peaches and Cream.
Yeah, I haven't seen him in years, but if I do, I'll ask him for sure. I'm sure he's in Indiana somewhere right now. Yeah,
he actually got a cover doing a flare tabletop at my parents' backyard.
I remember that photo. It was sick. So, when he was on SE, I believe.
Exactly. Yeah. And crazier story about that day. We got done with the photo shoot. He went inside and showered up because I want to finish this big jump called the Gorilla Jump. And the dirt out here is terrible. Like, I don't know why I keep going back for more. I just have too much passion, or I just enjoy building jumps too much. I water the landing, and he was going to come and help me. And I told him, hey, be careful. The landing is soaking wet. And he had that bleached blonde hair. I don't know if you remember at one point. He slipped and had a huge mud streak. Looked at me, cursed me, and left. Didn't see him for the rest of the day. And he had the biggest stain in his hair that he just got done bleaching.
That's hilarious.
So yeah, one of the many crazy stories with Chris Gerber. I mean, him and Catfish. I remember when we used to do shows. Wow, those were the days.
I think Catfish is in here. He was. That's funny. He's in the chat. Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, I'm so bummed. He used to live here in Vegas, and we didn't even cross paths once.
Oh, really? I went to the house he was at one time, like with Ryan Mills, like a year ago, but he was out of town doing shows, so I didn't see him either.
I just saw Ryan Mills. I did a guest speaking event, and it's pretty cool to see how much he's helping the community and his hurdles they had to deal with and overcoming it, and now has a great livelihood job and gets to ride a lot. Sad to say, which I'm calling him out. He said he's going to come out and ride, but that day has yet to come.
Yeah, maybe he'll come out and dig.
I would love that one, but I clearly I can't speak very good English because I can't get really too many people to come and help me dig.
How far are you from Lavin's house?
We are in are you familiar with Las Vegas?
If you go to Vegas maybe once or twice a year, I wouldn't say familiar, but loosely.
Completely two different corners. I think that's one of the reasons, kind of like a bummer, that him and I didn't ride as much, which another thing that I want to hire who this guy on Ricardo _Laguna on Twitter was. He used to call me Tijuana Lavin. He mentioned how like we had the best two backyards, but we were just too far apart.
So your crews never really overlapped? Because I know he had like Cameron White and stuff out of his backyard. And
yeah. I mean, I don't think there was ever like a beef. It was just like, why do we drive 35 minutes, which by the way, Las Vegas, 35 minutes, it's a road trip, when we can just drive literally in the backyard. Cam used to live down the street. A funny story, I don't know if you know Casey Joy Slayer, which was TJ's right-hand man. He got invited to come to my house, and he told me this story the other day, which I don't know how accurate it is, that he did a 360 and I didn't cheer him up, and he picked up a shovel and then he helped me build the lift, but I didn't give him props. And then the next day they took him to TJ's, and then he did the same exact thing at TJ's house, and TJ goes like, "You're staying with me." So he became TJ squad.
Oh, damn. So there was a little rivalry.
I mean, I don't want to call it a rivalry. It's just a friendship thing, but yeah. But funny to say, him and his son just started coming out and started around the backyard. So he's actually one of my number one diggers that come and helps me dig. So, but he works full time, so he doesn't have too much free time to come out.
So what were the Do Tour days like for you? Because, we're talking about Gerber, and you said he got that tattoo in Portland. But overall, you were on the Do Tour from the first year in 2005.
Yeah. So I think Casey made fun. He told me that people made fun of me about this or why I got lucky. Which, look at it whatever way you want. I always tell people luck, like with preparation appears, or someone explained to me once like this. There's $1 on the floor. 3 people are going to walk by. First person walks by, didn't see the dollar. Not lucky. Second person walks by, sees the dollar. Now, whether if he's in a rush, bending down to pick up the dollar is work, it's not worth it. He's not lucky. Third person walks by, he's at the right place, sees the dollar, stops, bends down, picks up the dollar, he's lucky. So I was like, oh, it makes sense. So I think it was Kentucky, the first one. And I did my first round and I got like 10th or 8th place, and it rained and it got canceled. So the first round was the only round that got basically the score. And I think like I beat like Nyquist because I think he crashed. Yeah, was it true that a lot of people had poor runs and my first round did really well and I qualified? Yeah. And that's why I didn't deserve it, but I did, I guess. That's what the Do Tour said. So I thought it was really cool that I got lucky enough that time and got invited to do the whole Do Tour and travel 5 different cities within 3-4 months. I think this was the craziest time of my life that I would be home no more than 2 weeks at a at a time, basically, because there was contests all over the United States and all over Europe. And since I was sponsored by TSG, they wanted me to compete a lot overseas. And I don't know how I got the invites to go to South America a lot too, which I was fortunate enough. I think I won the South American King of Dirt, like not once, but twice, which, Kenneth, which is crazy. Back then, I never ever expected him to be an amazing bike rider that he is, but on ramps, because I thought he was always a dirt jumper. So
Talk about Kenneth Tencio for everybody that doesn't know, out of Costa Rica.
Yeah, there you go. Sorry. Yeah, I think he got like third place at that contest. And I was lucky enough that I won it. But he was one of the coolest guy ever, and he was not even known back then at all. But man, he had the heart of a lion, that's for sure. That's why every time when I see what he's doing, especially down there in Costa Rica, and his results are just, next to none.
Yeah, those overseas, I'm sure the crowds down there were like none other too.
Yeah,
competing down there was a lot of fun.
There's this guy named Chris from Colombia. When I won the contest out there, he now lives here in Las Vegas, and he told me recently that he met me back then, and I was like one of his idols. And to me, I'm like, dude, you're a way better bike rider than me. How am I your idol? But he said I inspired him because, being Hispanic and being able to make the American dream in a sense. So that's how he broke it down to going down there to his home turf and then winning the contest and giving an autograph was such a huge impact. So it's pretty humbling. There's another kid here in town that he kept asking me to do shows with me for this helmet giveaway. And he just kept going out and he kept getting better. And now I hire him all the time to do shows whenever I did the shows here in town. So it's pretty cool that there's been a little bit of a nug that I helped, to hopefully grow BMX, and BMX has done a lot of great things for me too. So can't forget about that part.
Yeah, it's rad. And speaking of your helmets, one of them was in the Hard Rock Cafe for a while.
That's right. So a lot of people think like I planned this stuff. But no, I guess I made an impact on what I done that. Yeah. Hard Rock, had the helmet, front and center in the restaurant. Going back to Extreme Thing days, I got to cover this magazine, the one reason why I got fired from Dance Comp. And they published more than BMX Plus and Ride BMX back then. I can't remember the statistics, but they gave it to me. And when people came to Extreme Thing, they stay in the hotel. They thought I planted those magazines that I printed and put in the room. But no, that magazine cover was in every single hotel room in Las Vegas.
Oh, wow.
So yeah. You guys tell me that was bad publicity or good publicity. But people thought I planted that. I'm like, I don't have the capabilities of doing that.
Yeah, I think that's just in action sports in general. Like when athletes cross the mainstream, there's always been like a stigma about it.
That's an advice for any future rider that's watching this. If you have that opportunity, take it. It helps. It opens doors. People are going to make fun of you. People are going to love you. It comes with the territory. And if you want to go on that path, just be prepared for that. And it's totally worth it because it's not just me that had this opportunity. There's many more out there that has capitalized, that have made, you mentioned Cam White. Look at him. Now he owns a brewery, according to Slayer. Like, I never thought in a million years he owned a brewery and a restaurant. So there's a lot of people that open the doors, and look at TJ Lavin, Corey Anastasio, I think Lucas Porzio, they own like
our bar in Austin,
Texas. In Austin, Texas. Yeah. So like the doors open. I don't know the logistics on that. I happen to be in Austin, Texas, and not even know they had that. So if you want to capitalize, take the advantage of it because it's worth it.
Yeah. And that's funny because, like today's route of being a professional rider that's making it is almost like being an influencer in a sense.
I always tell you're a human billboard. And look, there's good looking billboards out there that make great money and good looking billboards that they don't do as well. And then there's bad ones that they do great and vice versa. So which one you want to be? That's what I always tell people. And I don't always tell people like, do TV, do influencer stuff. If you find like a passion to do something that you love doing, trust me, sooner or later, you're going to strike gold. It might take longer to you. It might take less to you, but I'll guarantee you that you're gonna strike gold if you keep chopping away.
Yeah, no, I mean, Lavin, like you said, Nastasio, all those dudes have kind of done it. But did you ever go down the Riverside and ride with Nastasio and those dudes back in the day?
Oh, absolutely. I even did Tehachapi with Corey. But yeah, Rick Lakins. I
Yeah,
used to love riding there. Mike Sabadra, 60 Trails. I don't see one of the many reasons. By the way, kudos to you. Thank you. Thank you. We need more of you to showcase that old school heritage videos coverage that you do, but just yet still show the new stuff. So for me, that I'm the old dog, keeping with the Joneses. So you still remind me, it's like, oh, I remember, like, I was just watching a contest that Corey Nastasia won in Florida that I completely forgot about. I wasn't there, but I just remember watching it on props.
Yeah, that's
Yep. And then from there, watching Swamp Fest. Bummer I haven't yet the opportunity to make it out there, but how epic and cool it looks. A little too wild for me.
Have you been paying attention to X Games doing the league now with teams?
So I haven't, and I was talking to the other day, a friend of mine that came to help me dig, because he works with Supercross. I was like, that's exactly what we need, rivalry. Because it's amazing that people are doing the triple flips, which now in a special ramp, or our Willie's like crazy bike flip, front flip with everything. Most are not going to understand that, but they think it's going to be cool. I think it's awesome that it's happening, but we haven't made the rivalry that we have groups. So then I can be like Team LA versus Team Tokyo or Austin. I can't recall the things.
Yeah, you're right about Tokyo and LA.
Yeah, so I think that's exactly what we need. The thing, which I've been very blessed that I announced the X Games in Spanish with Catfish. I think ESPN does a great job of marketing. I just felt that they lost a lot of years with the viewing, that now they're going to pick it up hopefully with this, because I don't want to call it stale, because they did more creative Rams, Dirt, XYZ, but now they're evolving now into a rivalry thing. That's where we're going to be like, oh my God, Logan Mark is with Naya and Naya is with another skateboarder that is going to build rivalry. And that's what people are going to want to, that's why NFL does so well.
I mean, it's even like the Jay Mira Bestwick rivalries on Vert back in the day. There was stories there, and people, it was interesting because they would announce, maybe somebody's watching X Games at a bar, and they're like, all right, we have Jay Mira on, he's taking second to Dave, this year he's going to try to bump him out and take the gold medal, and like back and forth. So they would have like a story behind it, and somebody watching could just kind of get into it, even if it's just for like a few minutes. So I do think it kind of needs that again. You're right.
Yeah. And once again, this is just my personal opinion. I personally, that's the right path. By the way, I'm going to give you a little bit of homework. Do you know Andrew Ellison?
Yeah, he rode for Haro. Of course I know who he is. And he races now.
Yes. They did an awesome document. This is when I was one of the iconic things that I was like, oh, I want to ride more and be better. Gravity Games. It did a huge rivalry thing that he was going to be the youngest kid, deliver, and I can't remember if he didn't quite deliver, but it was so cool that they made that, be ready to see this kid. It's going to be the youngest kid. It's going to take over the circuit. Didn't quite happen the way the storyline got painted, but it's still the sort of the true colors. And to me, it's like, oh man, he didn't do it, but just yet, like I kept seeing him do well at contests, and then Hard kept sponsoring. So to me, it was a little bit of a nuke to like, I want to chase this BMX thing. So you need to dig that video from Gravity Games. It was an awesome special on NBC that they did.
Yeah, I need to find that. That's funny. Yeah, he was awesome. And I always looked up to him because he was a dual rider. He was a pro racer and a freestyle guy. And it was sick. Actually, the first magazine I had was BMX Plus with him doing a Superman. No, he was doing the Indian era. He had the Suicide as a Haro had in the Indian era.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was awesome. He still kills it for this day, from what I hear.
Yeah. I think he does construction, right?
Yeah, I think he works a normal job, but I think he had Instagram up until like a year ago, and he was still racing, at least to some level, if I'm not mistaken, or riding trails.
So another idea for you, which I love what RBMX does, they need to do a strictly like just all riders. I don't want to say all riders. back in the day riders, whether they ride or don't ride, where are they up to now?
Oh, that'd be sick.
Because I love when like I see like they talk about a pro rider and then this is not negative. Any football player, they can't play football for the rest of their life. They have to do something else. So what are they up to now? Yeah, first of all, it does real estate and
Yeah.
like it could motivate somebody that might be on a tail end or while they're doing BMXing, like, oh wow, I can do what they're doing or become the next livelihood.
Yeah, it's interesting. And you're in Las Vegas and it's a notorious party city. And who kind of told you to save your money, or how did you like? It seems like you've always been pretty smart with your money and you have this business mindset, but that wasn't common back then. It maybe is a little bit more now because people see what happens.
Absolutely. I'll get back to that question real quick. But TJ's in my house. So if you come from Vegas, TJ's house is right as soon as you come into Vegas. And mine is like you have to leave Vegas, like you're going towards Utah. Jerry Bagley, I don't know if you know Jerry Bagley.
Yeah.
From my understanding, brought Red Bull to BMX and
the first rider on Red Bull.
Yeah. He called me like 5 times each day saying that he was going to come, but the party got to him. He went a little too hard. That's why he couldn't make it, or he had a pool party. So he made it to TJ's house the first day, but because of the cool things that Vegas has to offer, never made it to my house. So I've been very, my girlfriend says I'm very boring. Even though a lot of people, because she was like, in your social media, it looks completely different. Like you're Mr. Vegas, but there's times I don't leave in my house. But I have a gym in my garage. I have 4 acres of dirt jumps, and then I can run pretty much my whole company through home. That's why sometimes I don't leave my house. But yes, Las Vegas has way too many temptations. But coming back to the answer, how my dad used to have a great job in La Paz, Mexico. He worked for Mexicana Airlines. It was one of the biggest airlines of all time, but it went under. So timing is everything, going back to being lucky. My grandma was born in America, so my parents applied to become U.S. citizens. And when my dad got told he can either retire, take a small pension, or move to another city, he decided to get the pension and bring me to Las Vegas and follow the American dream. And I went from having my own room, being the only kid that had like the Michael Jordan shoes and Nintendo, that's how far back we're talking about, to now having the outdated Jordans, now Super Nintendo's available, and now not even having my own room. Me and my brother share the living room of a trailer. So I don't want to say that humble me, because I always hear the stories like, oh, I had a rough background and sacrifices. Yeah, were they rough and sacrifices were crazy? Absolutely. But we still had food. I still had love in the family. So it was okay. But it taught me that you can be on top, and it can, I don't want to say it gets taken everything away, but to make a dream happen, you had to work really hard, and sacrifices will come with that. So my mom said that if we would live in a fourplex, which is a building with 4 apartments, we would live in one, and then 3 of them will get rented. That way, in a sense, is what they call a life hack. We wouldn't have a mortgage and we'd make a little bit of money. But being 16 years old, the last thing you want to do is share a room. But she said if we were to do that for a couple of years, she would buy a house with land. And she would hate that she would see me build these jumps and get tear down, because houses could get built in Las Vegas. So she delivered, and that's how the first backyard came about. And it taught me like sacrifices pay off in the long run. So when I came back from Legoland, instead of me buying a 4F-150, which I did buy later on, worst mistake ever I made, because I lost so much money on the depreciation, but I got to enjoy it. So enjoy my fruits of the labor. I bought my first fourplex. So it taught me that if you sacrifice, save the money, reinvest, sometimes things take longer than others, but it pays off. I mean, this house that I built has been all real estate over 20 years. I wish, I heard my girlfriend is a teacher, that they're finally having classes to teach a little bit of financial advising. I wish I would have had that, because I had a look, whether you think I'm doing well or not, I personally think there's a lot of mistakes made. I wish I would have done differently. And if someone would have just explained it to me, I would have never made those mistakes. But I had to learn the hard way.
You know, Mark Rubio?
Yeah, Mark Rubio just came out not even a week ago. I have to send you the video. He was doing shows out here, so time was limited. And I told him, I was like, dude, if you come, you're going to have literally 20 minutes. And a sure old fashioned Mark Rubio, 2 runs into it, 360 tail whip to 720 to right into the sunset.
Yeah,
like, I'm all like, yeah, I wish that guy would have had a bigger breakthrough.
That's what I said. It's crazy. We always say that. Nobody knows how good he is.
But the problem was, and I'm going to put you on blast, Mark. I think I saw that he was watching. I offered him one time to live with me, and he didn't take it. And I told him, I was like, dude, you need to get out of this little pond, which Las Vegas, you're the king, but you need to go and explore. He did do it, but just the luck didn't really immerse for him. So, but when he told me now, a new job has popped up in his horizon, and he's making a career out of it. He wishes he would have started maybe a little earlier, but I always tell people, just because you don't have a good end doesn't mean you're not going to win the game. So just be patient and keep plugging away.
Going back to contests and stuff, like pro contests, like was it hard to, keep up with the tricks? Like you had a lot of big tricks, like flip whips and stuff. You were pretty early, but was the pressure pretty crazy to learn new tricks, like during the detour era and all that stuff all the time?
We go back, blessing in disguise. If you ever want me to see a side that is very rare to see, ask me about my parents' neighbor, because those were one piece of art. They called the county on me, and I used to have the jumps, an acre full of a foam pit, dirt jumps, and just about anything I ever wanted back there. And the county, believe it or not, like I said earlier, if you're doing something without the guidelines, they can fine you, and they put a lien on your house. So they were talking about making me tear down the jumps on my parents' house. And the idea was I was going to take over my parents' house when I can afford it. So, and it was right around that time, Due were just starting up. And this was like a year going back and forward if I had to tear down the jumps. So I decided, screw it. If they make me tear down the jumps, I'm going to buy my own house and I'm going to build resi jumps. So I built resi jumps. And I think back then I made a resi edit. I built a resi backyard, which was, I think I was a resi ferret. That's what someone said. But it helped me learn all the tricks. Like I remember I would do flip whips over and over and over. And I probably did a handful of flip double tail whips, which one was in Germany in Big in Bavaria, which I'm looking at this little memory history. I got third place, and it was one of the biggest jumps. I mean, but for back then, ever built. And I did a flip double tail whip because I hardly ever do them in real jumps. I would just do them in the resi jumps. So, and I remember, what was Adam 22, the come up?
Yeah.
He drilled me on making fun of that video that I had a resi edit. But to me, it's like, I want to showcase what I'm doing back here just so people can see it. So I think it was a blessing in disguise that my neighbor called the county, forced me to buy a house, forced me into building resi jumps to push myself into doing those wild, crazy tricks. And I think, that was like 2015 when I kind of started slowing down because other things were popping up and then contests were slowing down. Plus the pro purses weren't quite there. I just adjusted. It was difficult to do all those wild, crazy tricks because even a crazier name that I would love for you to see what happened to him, Colton Satterfield and Ben Boyle. I was trying to work out a deal so then I have someone to write with. I rented an apartment, but they had to help me build. And then they moved back to Idaho, I think they did. So, but it was the best thing ever because they were back then, that's when they started doing 360 triple tail whips. And I was barely doing 360 double tail whips. So yeah. I just never had that person to like push myself. Like, how they say you want to be around people that are better than you. I never really had that person that was like, all right, if you did 360 double tail whip, now I'm going to do 360 triple tail whip, which I go back. I had Colton and Ben Voiles for a little while, but it just wasn't enough.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. And then the tricks start getting really out of hand. Like, what do you think of current contests when you do watch like the BMX triples at the Monster Supercrosses and stuff? And
it's surreal. The tricks that they're literally saying, now I'm aging myself, this is the stuff that we kid around and said it was going to be in a video game, but now it's reality. Like our Willie stuff, which now more people, and it's like anything evolution. Like when you start doing the bike flips, like there's no way. Now there's a handful of people doing bike flips. And once again, this is from what I see, people make fun of him that he has his own ramp and yada, yada. I'm like, you can do it if you want to. Like, what's the problem? Like, there's plenty of people that have the money and have the backing, but you still need to have the talent and put the sweat equity into that. So I think it's great. So scary for me that if you want to keep up, you have to be around those ramps, because on jumps that I have, there's no way you can do a triple backflip. I would love to put money and see someone will come out and do it, because I would love to see it happen. But the jumps are not big enough for those type of tricks. So it's a double-edged sword in a sense. But for now, as watching all this happen, I think is great. People said like in the 80s, it was a big downswing after, being on top of the game for BMXing. And then in the 90s, right when I started riding, the late 90s, then the BMX started dying. And then in the mid 2005s, it was booming like crazy. Now, has it been longer since we got the boom? Probably. But I think it's going to be pretty cool if the next couple of years we see action sports grow really big with this new ideas.
Yeah, I think that's what it needed, is new ideas. You're right.
Yeah.
So it's cool. And I appreciate you doing this interview, man, especially so last minute.
Hey, and I'm serious. You got homework now. You got to dig out that Andrew Ellison gravity video. Continue showing old school stuff. Show the new stuff, and then do a storyline on old people, young people, what are they up to, and how they got to bike riding.
And if anybody knows where Chris Gerber is, contact Ricardo.
Yes, find out where Peaches and Cream, the Honda CRX, is.
All right, sounds good. I'll talk to you later. Thanks, guys, for everybody that watched this. Appreciate you.